Do you love all things spooky, a little haunted, and full of mystical intrigue? Would you like expert insights from a professional psychic medium while connecting with an open-hearted community that gets you? Join the Haunted Road Trip Show Patreon at www.hauntedroadtripshow.com/Patreon and unlock deeper dives into the supernatural, exclusive discussions, and a place to share your own eerie experiences. Plus, patrons get special discounts on classes, behind-the-scenes content, and more to die for. Laughter is guaranteed, even the dead laugh. In paranormal history, it's dying to be heard.
Welcome to the Haunted Road Trip Show, where we bring you powerful conversations, insights, and exciting site investigations that reveal the paranormal world in a way you've never seen before. Prepare to have your thirst for curiosity satisfied.
All right, and hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Haunted Road Trip Show. I am your host, Tracy St. Croix, and welcome back, y'all. As you know, I troll the internet, the wild universes of the internet that I find the most interesting of people. And today, I have with me somebody that I've been following on the old Tickety Talk for a little while. He goes by the handle of Tarot Fellow, but his name is Rick. And not only is he fascinated absolutely with tarot, psychic, all things metaphysical, but he is a fantastic paranormal investigator. You can call him anything, call him a spirit communicator, because he's been called worse, apparently, according to his application for this. But welcome, Rick. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yes,
I've been called many things, especially so with my last name, people butcher that all the time, which is fine. But, yeah.
We'll say it out loud for the rest of us. We can all hear.
Chiantaretto.
Chiantaretto. Okay.
Yeah. Ignore half the letters. Yeah.
It's all good. I absolutely love it. So I want to describe to the viewers or for the listeners who are listening. And if you want to see this, go check it out on Haunted Road Trip Show on the YouTube channel. Apparently, Rick has big balls because he's got huge crystal balls behind him as well. On there.
Yeah,
now, do you use it for divination or just decoration?
No, I do. I mean, it's always fun to set the tone, right? But I do use it quite a bit, actually. The distortion is kind of interesting when I don't use it as like a primary source of divination, but it's in the room and catches my attention and will deliver messages that way. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yes, because what people don't realize is divination tools are only focal points for us to get information.
Yes, definitely. And anytime I think that you can distort reality, you get clearer spirit message. So
you do. That's why people tell you to check out for a little while.
Yep. Soften your vision, right? All those things. Yep.
It does. And I'm like, once I figured out what that meant, I was like, oh, I've been doing that my whole life.
Right. So that's how I do it. Yep.
Oh, so that's how I knew all that stuff when I was a kid. Yes, that is exactly how you knew it. But you're a wonderful tarot reader and you teach tarot. That is the first divination tool that that was my gateway drug.
Mine too. Yep.
And I've been enamored by tarot since I was a child. Like I was always like, what is in those decks that people don't want everybody to see? Right.
Yeah.
And also when I started to figure it out, that it was just the journey of life, it made a whole lot more sense to me. And my question to you about tarot is, do you use it in paranormal investigations or have you?
I always have a deck, but I don't think that I have not used it as a form of communication with spirits in paranormal investigations. I haven't. That's interesting. I never connected that. I'll have maybe I have to try that next time.
Curious because
Yeah.
you have really certain ways that you like to work with spirit. You more soften your communication on investigations, from what I understand, right?
What do you mean? Let's dive into
We
that.
don't go into to place guns a-blazing, right?
Oh, sure. No, yeah, you can't. I mean, you need to get, first of all, like the entire story before you just start spouting, right? But there's also expectations when you're working with the paranormal team on gathering evidence. And it's the very first time I was invited to go out with the team that I work with. I actually messaged them because they invited me before they knew that I was a spirit communicator or sensitive.
Right.
And I'm like, I've just got to let you know, I know some teams don't like having mediums and psychics on their team because they're more interested in the physical evidence. And I'm like, so, do you still want me? Kind of. So,
Can I come and play, please?
yeah. So it is different, right? It's different than when I'm working with a client or with a spirit than it is when I'm with a team of investigators. So.
Yeah. Do you and that's an interesting point to bring up, is that sometimes teams are really weird about working with other psychic mediums. And that's kind of one of my, I guess, I don't want to say like pain points, but one of my well, you're missing out on a whole lot of information by not allowing somebody else who's really good at perceiving non-ordinary reality into the situation.
Definitely. And I really do think it depends on what you're trying to get to, right? Are you trying to find that proof of that video that's going to go viral because something moved and couldn't have and wasn't explainable, and proof of the afterlife? Or are you interested in the stories and the information of the spirits and the energy and the echoes that are there, right? So, or balance, right? You can have a balance of both.
Right. And I'm always curious. I like to talk to other paranormal investigators. Like, in your time doing this, have you ever had a moment where it's been like, what the foobie doobie was that? Like, maybe not just paranormal activity, but maybe something crazy another investigator did on site or didn't do, or, like maybe you got to a location and found out the owner wasn't on the up and up, or.
Well, that is funny. One of my most recent investigations, and I need to, for client confidentiality, this was a residential. So there's not a whole lot that I can say. But there was a very interesting moment where I was trying to decide if the things that were in the house were actual entities or projections from the homeowner. And the further I got from the situation, the more I realized that this particular person was super good at creating this reality and projecting it into manifestation, it's giving almost her ideas and thoughts to these energies that would then do her bidding almost in the house in order to convince everybody else. It was really weird. I've never seen energy like this before. And I know people who are really good manifestors, but to do it in this way was really new and interesting. So that was crazy.
Well, I had that on my list to talk to you about, to see if you'd ever come into contact with a situation. They're called, I think I'm going to mess up the words, but it sounds like Alcagor. Something. I can't remember what the name is, but it's
Gregor at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something Al Gore. With Al Gore. I'll have to look it up, but it's basically when people retell a story and then they start to believe it for so long that the energy forms and it becomes real, and it's like I know I'm going to date myself by saying this, but it's like a loop. It's like that's the only thing it knows how to do. It's the other thing.
Yep.
It only has one trick. That's it.
Yeah. So the skull experiments did something. No, it wasn't the skull experiment. It was God, I was just reading about this, where this group of metaphysical people got together and created an entity, and then other people came in to read it, right? What was the name of that entity? Robert? Or no, that's the doll. Oh, crazy. You get in front of the camera and forget everything.
I know that. Right. It's like, what's your name?
Right? It's written somewhere.
Yes, and I wanted to talk to you about that because, I've even seen that, and I'm like, no, I think you think this is real, and I think that you've thought about it so much and made it up in your mind that it's real.
Yes, for sure. And this was like that. This experience that I was talking about was like that, but on steroids, because this was like almost instant. The moment that this person thought this thing, it was like creating that loop immediately without the repetition. It was weird. Like, this person's got some really cool mental, I don't know, spiritual connection to be able to manipulate energy that way. And I don't think they know that they do it, right?
No, I don't. And you know what? I have done just a little bit of study on that. And I oftentimes see people who have either undiagnosed mental illnesses or they have diagnoses, but they're not keeping a treatment plan.
Yep.
I oftentimes see them able to, like, they're wonderful at telepathy and manifesting and creating things. And I wondered if there was a connection.
I think there is. My husband jokes all the time. He's like, what's the difference between you who talks to yourself in a room and the crazy person down the street that's, talking to them? Like, how come they're getting arrested for being insane and you're not? And I don't know. I really don't know who says that they're not talking to something that's real, right? Like,
it's real to them. As my therapist would say, it's real to them.
Yeah.
But I think the answer to your husband's question is, and my therapist is also a shamanic practitioner, is that we're not acting upon negative commands.
True. Definitely true. Yeah.
Sometimes other things will tell people to do not so nice things to other people. And that's the difference maybe between us, that we're like, no.
Yeah, we're good crazy.
We're the, you want to have us at your party crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we're already on the next list of your party and you haven't even planned it yet.
Right.
But I have seen that, as far as, like, that's one of the things that fascinates me about the human mind and about paranormal activity, is like how we can make things up. Because I think things like Bigfoot and other type of cryptozoologist creatures, I think they are all along the same lines. Possibly some of them is that we've been talking about them for so long, we made them real.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The group mind think creating that manifestation. I mean, that really does fall into this whole kind of new age speak of we create our realities, yada, 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 right? Like, why can't I create a reality with the Bigfoot then? And who's to say that if we're creating our realities, that can't exist for me?
Exactly. Because I'm on the camp of, I'm not really sure that I think Bigfoot exists in some forms, but I'm like, if Bigfoot really exists, like, okay, just follow me, right? Like, and you've got a teenager Bigfoot, like that teenager Bigfoot that's like got all these hormones and everything. Like, it's not sticking around. It's gonna go play in traffic or like do something rebellious and act like a teenager or not hide.
That's really true. It's not gonna listen to mom and dad.
Yeah, like, I'm not staying in this hut with you. No, like. That's just my theory now. Like, it could change in a month if somebody gives me some other evidence. I don't, whatever. But I think that they're few and far between.
Your next podcast is going to be some Bigfoot scientist, I guarantee you.
Probably. I do think that there are some creatures out there, but I don't think they're as dominant and predominant as we think they are. And I think a lot of it has been our own projection of things being out there. Mm-hmm. Versus maybe reality. I don't know. Makes sense, yeah. We're all just picking up on multi-universes all at one time.
Well, that's also a fun rabbit hole to go down.
I know. A 3 a.m. rabbit hole on YouTube. What can I say on that? But I would love to get your hot take on where do you see the paranormal investigation and community? Where do you see them heading to in the next 5 to 10 years? What kind of curve, what kind of new arc do you see?
Oh, that's interesting. I think that there's a lot of these new devices that are coming out that are like healing devices that create some sort of energetic field, right? I think we're going to find more and more of that kind of thing being introduced to paranormal investigations because it would give energy food, right? And I know that there's some of that, there's the EMF generators and all of those things like that they have now, but I think those will get more dialed into to the point where hopefully we can start to almost manifest like a physical medium manifests, right? Kind of on command with the device. That's what I hope anyway.
So kind of like being able to give like a spirit a continued source of energy to feed off of, to be able to communicate longer, maybe more intensely, maybe manifest into the physical easier.
Yeah, ways that we will pick them up with our physical senses as opposed to, the psychic senses. I would love to see kind of those blendings of reality and the boundaries of where frequency changes, where we can no longer perceive it, right? Be kind of less defined, I guess.
No, I think that would be awesome, but I think a lot of people might freak out.
I'm sure. Fear is the one thing that will definitely hold you back when you're in either paranormal investigations or spirit communication, right? Mediumship.
I think I would freak out. Like if I turned around in like my kitchen or something, and all of a sudden I saw one of my relatives in spirit world just like standing there, I mean, it would legitimately make me jump.
But doesn't that happen to you as a medium anyway? Or how does your mediumship work?
Because here's my thing is like I'm really like I get strict boundaries. I'm a strict boundary setter. I'm like, don't scare me. Don't think you can just pop in here like you own the place. Like, no. Like I need like a gentle warning.
Okay.
I need something like that. Like don't pop out and scare me. Now I do put caveats on it. I'm like, if there's something that needs my attention, if there's danger, if there's, something that I need to look at right now, like I break every glass you can in the house.
Sure. Yeah.
But no, I would just, they give me such strong enough symbols already that they're around that I'm like, don't manifest in front of me.
You don't need to manifest, right?
No, I'm like, don't, because that scares the shit out of me. Please don't do that. Like, why you gotta make my heart beat like that?
Yeah.
Like, you love me.
I will say I used to be afraid of that sort of thing. I would say that I don't get afraid as much anymore, but of course you get startled, right? There's always that moment of startling before you're like, oh.
Yes, it is. And that is it. It's funny because like sometimes it's interesting to explain to people. Like I see spirit a lot. Think about it like I have a room in my mind that I'll see them there, but I'll also be able to project them at the same time standing in front of me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just kind of like rando coming around the corner and there's one of my lost, my loved ones, like, no, we can't be doing that. Like,
right.
They have very interesting ways of getting my attention, which is really okay. But
well, and that kind of brings, because I agree with you. That's kind of how it works for me too. I describe it as I look back in my memory 1 second at my surroundings and what's there that really wasn't there, and then I play that 1 second behind almost. Like, that's how I project them into that, right? But that does bring in it because there's a difference, I think, between that sort of communication and the communication that occurs at a haunted location where there is manifestation into the physical. And, if we were to somehow bridge that gap to make that manifestation easier, to me, it feels almost like they're in different, it's a different frequency. That's the best
It
way
is.
to
It's a
describe it.
completely different frequency. And if you've ever used like psychedelics for spiritual healing or trauma healing,
Mhm,
that I mean, that'll thin the veil real quick.
definitely.
And that's exactly how it's like. It's like instantaneous spirit contact. And that's how I describe it. Cause I was like, okay, this is gonna be, like the first time I did ayahuasca and stuff, I was like, well, this is gonna be interesting as a medium. Let's see what this does. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was really grateful because I had had so much training doing trance mediumship and stuff like that, that I knew how to ease myself into the medicine, and I could feel like, oh, my vibrations are really raising higher. Okay, just let go, surrender.
But having that awareness to be able to witness that as opposed to trying to, yeah.
Yeah, because like the one thing you don't want to do is like you'll lose a fight with Mama Ayahuasca every time. Like, oh. But I mean, it is like a totally, like I tell people all the time in my mediumship demonstrations, like spirit doesn't have a physical body like us. And when we're in a physical body, it's dense, it's heavy, it's fluid, there's a lot of stuff, right? But we're just, spirit and energy, right? We are light and we're bright. So for them, they have to kind of lower their energy. We have to raise our energy to meet in the middle.
Yep. Into that room in your mind.
Into that room, yeah, into that room in our minds or whatever it is. And when I go into like paranormal places or I'm going to do a paranormal investigation, I have to realize that I'm walking into somebody else's house.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to be quite sure how they like to communicate. So I'm going to have to figure that out.
So I have a friend that does healing work with drums and the divine feminine and emotional empowerment. And she's always like operating with spirit at this high vibing. I'm communicating with guides. I'm pulling information about your healing, right? And she wanted to go with me to a paranormal investigation. And I took her to the haunted jail up in Jasper, Florida, the old Hamilton County jail.
Oh.
And when she first got there, she told me, she says, I can't hear anything but static. And I kind of tuned in. I was watching her try to like find that communication. And I'm like, you're way up here. And these people are communicating with anger and they're communicating with like, disappointment and this whole feeling of being entrapped because they're prison. Like you can't be up here. Like you've got to come down to their level and slow that communication way down. Because she was so used to communicating up here with spirit, but not all of them do, right? They've all got personalities and ways of communicating too, just like we do.
Yeah, and that's interesting to figure that out. Like, that's why I say, like, as an investigator or anything that you're going to go in there, you can't go in there kind of like guns a-blazing. You got to go in there, like I like to say it as like, an observer.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, go in there and like I always say, like, make your rounds around the party and see who's talking.
Exactly. And who you're going to vibe with and who you're not. And yeah. Who's the class clown that's trying to, be seen.
Yeah, exactly. And it usually set my intentions to say like, okay, who's the spokesperson that wants to come forward and talk? 'Cause usually there's a spokesperson. In every situation, somebody who just can't handle them damn selves and they got to talk in the spirit world.
Yep.
And that usually leads to like other spirits having permission to be able to come forward. But it is like that and I tell like eager students and people that I'll communicate with online, you don't always have to solve spirits' problems. Just because you can hear them and sense them or know that they're there or pick up on their trauma or, whatever it is, like you might just be there to be a witness.
Yep. I think that is probably from the sensitive perspective, right? One of the hardest things about paranormal investigations is, yes, I agree that in a lot of these places, there's like these residual energies that are on loops, right? That's one kind of energy you might encounter. But then there are those spirits that really have chosen, right? And they want to be there, and they want to be angry or not, or happy, or whatever they are there, right? And it's not your job to go in and be like, I hereby cleanse this place,
Right.
like kick them out of their house. You can't do that. You've got to just listen.
Half the times doesn't work.
Not if they don't want to leave.
Yeah, like historically, I'm like that usually doesn't work at all. And I tell people all the time, like you can join my Patreon, and I do like mediumship demonstrations. If you've never seen one and you want to see kind of how that is in action, like join my Patreon and come and check us out with all the other goodies that are online on there. That I just love to give away some extra goodies to all myself. But you also have what I was reading about, you connect with a group called the Collective.
Oh yeah. So
Now tell us about your friends.
Which one?
The
Collective? Like which one?
Like, okay, who are they? How,
Yeah. So, like you said, tarot was my gateway drug, right? And since then, it's always been part of my life. But recently, I've really noticed a shift. And a long time ago, Spirit was like, you've got to pick. You've got to pick what you want to do. And then you've got to pick your healing modality and not try to do it all, right? I'm getting to your answer, I promise you.
No worries.
So for a long time, I was just reading tarot as kind of that public-facing spiritual offering, even though I did have this building of spirit communication occurring that did show up in my tarot readings, of course, but it was different, right? And then in 2020, so it's been about 4 years, I noticed this voice in my head that wasn't mine, that was feeding me information, and that was totally different than any of the other kinds of communication I've had before. And for a while, I did think I was going a little insane. But when I followed their instructions on how to tune in, I got taken to this place where there was this group of six entities. And they're like, you're going to channel now. So now I go into what I call semi-trance, because I'm not completely like asleep, but I'm definitely not present either. And then do direct channeling. So people can have a session with these entities directly, communicating with them. So it's kind of similar, I guess, to maybe Abraham Hicks, some of those channelers that you've seen. Very different at the same time, but that's probably the best kind of connection I could make. And that has been really interesting, to the point where people are now requesting sessions with the Collective instead of booking tarot readings, right? So I'm really finding my work, even in my public spaces, are shifting to be more directly communicating with spirit or channeling, as opposed to the cards, which makes me a little sad, because tarot is a love, right? But at the same time, spirit needs what spirit needs, and I'll follow their direction.
Tarot will always be there.
Yes, definitely.
That's what I always say, no matter what. Even spirit, when I'm channeling somebody's loved one, sometimes they'll pull up a tarot card and show me what they want to tell me.
Oh yeah. Yep. It's a nice symbol. It's a nice dictionary, right? That you have to.
Oh yeah. I like to say I got a lot of symbols rolling around in this noggin that spirit can be able to use to be able to communicate a proper question to me. Now, do you get like awoken in the middle of the night and like go sit down and channel information, or you just kind of set up times with the Collective? Do they have to get on your show?
Yeah, I will normally set up a routine with them so that I don't get woken in the middle of the night because there will like I can tell when they're mad that I haven't been in contact with them enough, right? Uh, and what's funny is usually when that happens, I'll book a session and then they'll say it in that person's session, like, please remind him that we're supposed to be doing this on a regular basis, and they chastise me a little bit.
Oh, I love it. Yes, I know. It's the life of us, metaphysicians, that we're not quite sure what spirit is going to toss at us next. But you brought up a really good point that I talk to a lot of people about is about when you get into the metaphysical world or you have a spiritual awakening and like everything is like a buffet, right? Everything looks like a huge cruise buffet, juicy and everybody wants it. And I just tell people, pick something and get really, really good at it.
Yeah. I think we all have talents and we all have an alignment that spirit wants us to work in, right? I am very disappointed that I will never be the happy medium that will talk to your dead great grandmother. Like that's just not my alignment, and I'm jealous of all of you that do that. But we have to work in our strengths, right? And as spirit exposes and shows those to us, it's okay to narrow down and not do it all.
No, it's very okay, and get your niche and stick with it. And that goes for even people who are outside of the paranormal world. Whatever your niche is, whether it's business, whether it's social work, whether it's science, find it and stick with it and get really good at it. Yep. Spread out a little bit, but don't spread yourself so thin that you're not good at anything.
Right.
And that's what I tell my students. Like they get, we all get like very diverted in the metaphysical world, like squirrel. And I'm like, look, like spirit's not going to be mad at you because you're focusing in on one thing. Like let somebody else be the expert at that. And you read a book or two, but come on.
Well, and if spirit is mad about that, they will let you know that you need to change majors, right?
It does. And I tell people a lot, even my own clients, I'm like, look, your purposes in this life will find you. Yeah. It's going to be very kind of obvious, a feeling, a knowing, a sense to go for something and to focus in on something. It's going to be very clear. Like when I came into this, it was very, very clear that I needed to dive headlong and deep into all of this, right? And I did. And I was like, okay, that's totally cool. Like, because I never gave myself a whole lot of credit in the beginning. And now I'm like, oh God, I undervalued myself so much. And,
right.
But go ahead.
I'm going to interview you. Have you had the experience of really, really wanting to do something in the spiritual world, but having spirit tell you no?
A lot of things.
Yeah.
A whole heck of a lot of things that I really was like, oh no, I can incorporate this and I can incorporate that. And I want to do this. And spirit was like, why?
Yep.
Like, why? You don't have to. What you are is good enough. And when I was always taught like from, this is kind of like psychology and spirituality. Like, why do you want something? And answer that question 7 different times with 7 different answers and see how you get down to the actual core of the why you want something or want to do something. And it always came down to, I thought I wasn't good enough. So I needed to add another shiny thing to my repertoire so others would think I was good enough.
That's an interesting synchronicity of a conversation I was having this weekend about that idea of like, if I just get this credential, then I'll be successful, right? Or if I just do this course, or if I just hire this marketing expert, like it's always, and it's not true. like you have your gift, you have your alignment, work in it.
Yeah. It does. Colette Baron-Reid has a book called, I can't remember which one it was. Was it Uncharted Map? And it was basically all about staying in your lane. Like if spirit wants to take you into another lane for a little while, trust me, it's going to be very, very obvious.
Right.
But like, I tell people all the time, like, you don't have to continually keep going to school. Sometimes you need to get out there and actually get your clinical work in, get some work into the field. And that's what I tell people, like, if you're wanting to start to do readings, you want to dip your toe in the water, and I tell them, please don't do this in public, practice in private and then go out in public, because fall on your face in private. Right?
Yeah.
Get your friends, your family, have them recommend coworkers that you can do work on, or, get some really real world practice before you go out there in the deep end, and you might find you need your floaties and you don't have them.
I can tell which ones of my tarot students, right, are going to be successful, because after that very first week where they only know 10 of the cards, right, they will come to the next class and be like, oh, I gave my so-and-so a reading, right? Like, they got out and they did it. And so many of us get stuck in this, like, I'm not good enough. I've got to be a learner forever. And we should constantly be learning, but that doesn't mean you're not already an expert in your life and your experience, right? And to hold that back because we don't feel good enough is something I think that we struggle with a lot as metaphysical practitioners.
As metaphysical practitioners, yes. And I believe that, like, a lot of us, sometimes just get out there and test it in safe waters. I say, test it with people that you can work with. But I mean, you don't need to be good at everything. Just be really, really great at a few things and rock it. You know what I mean? Like, yep. And that's why absolutely, I knew when I got into this world, somehow spirit was going to push me into paranormal investigating, but I didn't know how.
Uh-huh.
And then it just started kind of just synchronicity kicked in more and more and more. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of cool.
That is great. Yep.
I do, because I like exploring houses. I especially love exploring old houses, and I like being in people's business because, I come from that family about we're all up in your business,
I love that. Yeah. That's probably one of my 7 reasons why I wanted to do it, right? Because I love drama.
Yeah. What happened next? Tell me. But also being able to, help, make a real impact and help others and have fun. I just always knew I wasn't bound for a traditional career course. It was always going to involve something. I do things differently, basically, would be a theme for my life. I do things differently. That's how I am. And speaking of doing things differently, would you like to play a game?
Of course.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have our next contestant on. Are we going to book it for the night? Oh, yeah. Book it the hell out of there. All right. Yeah. All right. The magic of the internet is going to work for me. Yes. All right. We are going to share screen. Here we go.
I'm going to totally ruin the game and say, though, that no matter how scary it gets, I'm going to book it for the night. So just kidding.
Oh my God.
Just kidding.
Hey. All right. We are, let me pull this up. Let's hear. All right. And we are in, it looks like Meadville, Pennsylvania, y'all. And let me see if I can pull this up a little further. Well, I just like the post. Can I? Okay, I just liked it again. Anyway, we are in Meadville, Pennsylvania, everybody. We've got a real looker here for you. Only $120K, okay? But she comes with a little bit of work. This is called an Elizabeth house, which I'm not really sure why it is. It's just that sort of style, but apparently it has 5 fireplaces within the main house, accompanied by an attached apartment featuring its own separate entrance, 1 bed, 1 bath, off-street parking, everybody. So this house is kind of creepy because it could look like an undertaker's house. It could look like somebody who takes care of a cemetery type of house. Because when you go up to it, there's some very large cement and very ornate half obuluses on each side of a cement stairway leading up to two very large trees on the side. So they're kind of protecting the home. And then it looks like a large 2-story wooden frame Elizabethan type of house. So, Rick, you want to go in? What do you think?
Yeah.
What are your first impressions?
This is gonna sound really weird, but this house looks racist to me.
Yeah, I mean, all right, let's see what's going on.
Yeah, there's some interesting energy here.
Yeah, let's go in the house. Okay, we're walking a little bit further up. It has creep value to me. Like I'm all of a sudden like, who's gonna be looking out at the windows at me? I'm not quite sure what's living in those brushes. This does look like if you were to look at this is haunted house. This is like straight up like this is the house that you would dare your friends to go and ring the doorbell on Halloween night. For sure. On there. I think that's a apartment in the back. I'm not sure. It looks like it's on down.
Yeah. The bay window is kind of cool.
The big window is kind of nice. Let's see if they're gonna let us inside. Oh god. It looks like a mouse.
Yeah.
Oh. Huh. That's a surprise. So we got all wooden, dark, almost red floors.
I don't know that they could call that original woodwork though, like they did in the description there.
I don't really think that's an original, but apparently that's, I guess, one of 5 fireplaces. I think that this house, at first glance, I don't think I'm sticking around too long in this. This house feels very overcrowded, overpacked, and it
would be very noisy for sure, huh?
It sounds, I wouldn't be surprised if this house didn't belong to a very large family at one time, or people who had like a boarding house or something.
I was going to say multi-generational, almost like lots and lots of family members all living together.
Yes. I definitely feel like we've had at least 2 passings on the property here within the house, within the family, because I feel like there's 2 families that would have been in this house. But the one thing about this house is there's a lot of light.
Yeah, that window's nice, actually. Yeah.
I don't know. I see just a lot of worry in this house. Worry and unrest. That is not wood floors. What is that? That is interesting. Almost looks like
painted almost.
Painted or concrete or something. Yeah. Or huge tiles. But
yeah.
This house definitely has a creep factor. Like, I don't think I would be in it at night. Oh, okay.
Yay, the stairs. That's the
best. I do think that is original wood, because look at where it is stepped on the stairs so much. It's
right, even the colors are weird.
I don't know. Maybe they'll let us go upstairs. That staircase doesn't freak me out, but that hallway to the right does.
Mm-hmm.
Really want to go down and investigate it. Okay, here we go. Upstairs. Keep feeling like there's a grandmother that passed away right in that room. She could have been the matriarch living there or somebody, but yeah, I would have to investigate that even further, but oh wow. Is that floor bending, or is that me?
It looks like it is, huh?
It sure does. You want to buy this house, I would definitely check for...
yeah, the joints on that second floor. Either that or it's just energy, who knows?
Or it's the way the light's bending. I don't know, but it definitely... This house, so what... Are we booking it, or are we booking it out of there? What are we doing?
What are we booking it for? An investigation?
We can book it for one night to do like an investigation or hang out.
I would totally do an investigation in this house.
Okay. Even without electricity or running water, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't have either.
Been in places similar.
I
A
will
little easier for me out in the yard.
like I'll stay outside on there. Yes, I would, as long as you would book it with me, I would stay there. I wouldn't stay there by myself because I would get too freaked out by myself there alone.
I think there's a lot of story not necessarily tied to the house either. There seems to be a lot going on
In the neighborhood.
outside. Yeah.
In the neighborhood. All right, you want to see one more house?
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna go from Pennsylvania. Okay, and I'm gonna let you choose. Do you want to go to Illinois or Arkansas?
Oh dear. Let's find Arkansas. That'll be interesting.
All right, here we go. Oh, this one's a doozy. I can't wait.
Oh, oh, this is just sad. This makes me sad.
When I first saw this, I was like, okay, this kind of looks like the frat house you really don't want to go in for their party at, where you're like, really, do you guys have money to fix this? Because I don't think you do.
Wow.
It looks like a very sad alone house. But
Really,
it is, and this house is in Newport, Arkansas. Only $44,995, y'all. And let's see, built in 1898. It has a lot of potential, it says, to bring it back. Let's see, 3 fireplaces, tall ceilings. And you can read all about the listing on Cheap Old Houses on Instagram, because that is where I go to acquire all of these fabulous listings. And you guys can either watch it on the YouTube replay or check it out on IG yourself on there. I think I'm going to go in. I want to go in this house. I want to see what's going on because I can't help. We've come all this way.
right, we might as well.
All right. Oh, wow. It looks like it's got storm damage is what it feels like. And what was that photo? Okay. Oh,
It's a nice lacy drape curtain, yeah.
I know. Nice and welcoming, don't you think? The door. Look, the padlock says it all.
Even something in.
It does. It says, come right on in. Okay. Pillars. Oh, dear. I already feel like I'm cramped and I'm locked in here for too long.
Which is insane because it's a giant colonial home, right?
Yes, it definitely is. I don't, it's, oof. Oh, is that police tape?
Hopefully.
Well, there might be a little bit more damage than at first stated on the listing, but don't worry about it. I feel squishy carpet, so I wonder if there's like a flooding damage.
That's water, yeah.
Yeah, in
That's-
here, but
yeah.
this is like an old colonial house that I guess we would be looking at what would be called the salon or the parlor with the staircase, and I can't help but I just keep hearing people running up and down those steps, like 2 girls running up and down the steps in the early 1900s.
Picking this back up from, energy a long time ago. I mean, music. I can hear music. Like, I don't think it was necessarily a bad place to be back in the day.
I don't think so. I think though there was a lot of disorder is the word I hear in my mind.
That chandelier is cool though.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Looks like a 4 huge bulbed chandelier with all little crystals hanging down from it. And I guess that's another ornate fireplace. I feel very lonely here, to tell you the truth. So I think somebody spent a whole lot of the rest of their life alone in this house.
Mm-hmm. Which is especially if they had kind of the socialite parties at some point, and then that was taken. I don't know. Just tell them now.
Oh yes, I want to see if they're going to give us photos from upstairs, and it doesn't look like they're going to do that.
Maybe you can't get upstairs. Maybe
You probably can't. If they have caution tape going into the salon, into the parlor, I doubt you. Oh wait, that's 2 different rooms.
Yeah,
because that carpet's there. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I want to book it here for the evening.
Except that staircase.
I do. I'm like, I really want to see what is up that staircase and like who built that there, because that had to be an add-on and it's terrible.
Yeah.
That's
but it does
terrible
feel
thing.
so sad. So you're okay with sad energy, just not.
I'm okay. This is what I feel. I'm okay with sad energy because I feel like we could, maybe if the house or the land wanted to talk to us about what it could need moving forward. Because one of the things that I love to do, especially with these old homes, like if they're being for sale or something, is being able to tell the new owners what the house needs to be happy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know, whether that's people or whether that's music or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Flowers and things like that. Because it seems like there was a lot of flowers and everything planted there, but it looks like they all died or got cut down.
True.
Yeah, it definitely is. And let's see. And I am gonna bring us back to here we are on that. I love the book it or book it because that gives me perfect, I get to be a voyeur. I get to be all up in somebody's business. I get to tell them what's up.
And I tell a little paranormal story about the place, investigated a little from afar.
Yes, investigated a little and have somebody else do it with me. And then the audience gets to react as well. So, I always tell the audience, if you see or feel anything, feel free to put it in the comments in YouTube and things like that. And let me know like how you guys do that. So are you having like, now I know you have a fabulous online shop, don't you?
Oh, yeah. So I started tarotfellow.com to, be the place for all my bookings and things. But I found that a lot of my clients were coming from places where there weren't metaphysical stores, or the metaphysical stores didn't carry what they needed or what was being recommended by spirit, that sort of thing. So I wanted a place to order online, genuine, people that care, not ordering from Amazon, although that's perfectly acceptable too. But to have that intentional, product chain, I guess, to the best of our ability anyway. So that's why I started the store.
And plus, you're pretty easy to get a hold of. So if people have a question about a product or how to use a product, you're pretty easy to get a hold of, right?
Oh yeah, I answer all the emails, all the texts, all the stuff all the time. Yeah. I love to be involved when people are in the store looking for things or can't find something that they want or have a purpose but don't know what matches that purpose.
Take that, Amazon.
Yeah. Private shopping.
That's right. You're a private spiritual shopper.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be a whole new title.
Yeah.
On that. I know. Tell people where they can find you at, because I'll have your links in the notes, but where do you prefer people like watch and interact with you?
I was on Instagram mostly until I had an oopsie with the account and they deleted me. So I'm at Tarot Fellow everywhere except Instagram. I have a dot between Tarot and Fellow. And when that happened with Instagram, I did move to TikTok, which has been a lot more fun than I expected it to be. It's definitely, got its reputation, well-deserved reputation.
Mm-hmm.
but it is interesting. So yeah, it's an energy all on its own.
It is, and I'll tell you what, like I do, out of all the social media platforms, I find the best stuff on TikTok.
Yeah.
Can't help it. I
Yeah.
find those paranormal videos and all kinds of things. I recently found a paranormal video that I posted on my page. I do edit it, that somebody's lady was having a garage sale and somebody came in and stole haunted dolls.
Oh my God.
And she's like, yeah, for the people who stole these, by the way, they're haunted dolls, and here's what they did, and here's why I had to get rid of them. So good luck, no takesy backsies. Yes, on there. That's why I love TikTok, because you're not gonna find those videos anywhere else, and most of the time they originate on there. And thank you so much for coming on here. This has been absolutely fun to be able to talk with you, Rick. And come back anytime you want to and discuss, your hot takes, your controversial takes, your new paranormal investigations, because I didn't know you investigated jails. We got to go back and talk about that. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, and anytime.
Oh, no worries at all. And for all you out there, thanks for tuning in. You can join my Patreon at the bottom of the page to get all kinds of new goodies that are coming out. Like us, love us, 5-star reviews. We love you. You love us. We get along all together. And have a fabulous, safe day out there, y'all.
Bye.
This episode of the Haunted Road Trip Show is brought to you by Studio One Vasie Pilates. To claim your free gift now, check the show notes.
Remember to visit our website at hauntedroadtripsshow.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. We look forward to seeing you next time, and remember, paranormal history is dying to be heard.